Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Caché. And this movie came out in 2005 and it's directed by Michael Haneke or Michel Haneke. Not sure how to pronounce his name properly, but I thought this movie was pretty great. This is the same director as The White Ribbon, which I really loved. I can totally come back to that movie any day. And this movie, in terms of tone and pacing, very similar. Also, no musical score throughout the entire film, or at least from memory. And I really love that choice, and it really adds to the overall tension of the film. And this is a film where not really a whole lot happens in it, but you always feel unsettled, kind of like The Shining in a couple of ways, where you're not necessarily screaming every 5 seconds, but they'll just show you something that's off-putting and you're unsettled, or you just are scarred because of what you saw, basically. I know that's the same thing, but still. This movie has really great characters, and they all feel authentic to me. They feel like real people, and I can totally see people behaving in the way that they do in this movie. And there's not one character that I found to be weak in this film or just in the slightest justified for doing the things that they were. They're all very interesting, and for a big chunk of the movie, you have no idea what's going on. And this movie doesn't necessarily give you answers to everything. It does want you to interpret what's going on, but it gives you just enough to piece everything together. It expects you to be smart and to you to really think about what you just saw. And there are certain things where it doesn't necessarily focus in the center of the frame. Certain things that you're going to have to look around to the frame to see certain things. But when you do, things will really tie together. And I just love that about this movie. And I could totally come back to this and potentially get even more out of it upon a second viewing. I really loved the directions that the story took, and every scene in this movie moved the story forward. I didn't feel as though time was being wasted at any point. Things were moving along naturally. It allowed you to really soak everything in and really get into what's going on in the story and the plot and what's up with these characters. And it's just a really great thriller overall, I feel. And I really love how this movie is shot, and pretty much every shot in this movie could be interpreted as a recording, basically. And I always loved where it was going. And there are parts in this movie that I found to be genuinely disturbing and surprising. Like, I had no idea certain things were coming, and it just really impacted me on an emotional standpoint. And most of what's going on in this movie is just characters talking, but it's always engaging to me, simply because the conversations in this movie have purpose, they move the story forward, they don't drag anything down, and you're always getting something from these scenes. And I found it also kind of funny that there was one scene in particular that reminded me of Carnage by Roman Polanski. It was just kind of funny to me. Not that it took anything away from the overall experience, and also I'm not going to say that this movie ripped off Carnage because Carnage came out after this film, but I did find it to be kind of funny. Not distracting, just kind of interesting that I was able to pick up on that. While I was watching this movie, I kept absorbing anything and being so engaged with it. And I also kept trying to think of things that I did not like about the movie, and I couldn't really think of anything. And sure, maybe the way the story presents itself is not for everyone, but in terms of what I'm looking for out of a story like this, or just from what I want out of a movie that's like an art film, or just like giving me something to latch onto, or some sort of a hook to keep me engaged, I think that this is expertly done, and I was never unsatisfied with anything in this movie. And if there's one word to describe how I felt during this movie, it was unsettled. You don't know what's going on, and I think it's best that you don't know what's going on at pretty much any point, because the mind is what makes these things scary. The fact that you don't know makes the movie kind of scary, or just this fear of the unknown, basically, is what this movie is going after. So I would highly recommend that you check this movie out, especially if you're fine with movies being really slow. But I never once felt the runtime of this movie. I was always with it. Just keep in mind that this movie does want you to think about it and read into it. And you may or may not fully get it up on one viewing, or like when you immediately finish the movie. So just keep that in mind. But I would highly recommend that you check this movie out. And personally, when the movie was over, I thought it was satisfying. I loved the ending to the film. So definitely check this movie out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Caché a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Caché, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Drop. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.